Hello once again and welcome back to day 149 of our 365 days of Bible study. At the moment we're looking at the statutes and laws of Old Israel. Particularly we are looking at laws relating to human behavior towards God and worship. And today we look in the book of Deuteronomy at the way it describes the harvest festival. We are looking at Deuteronomy chapter 16 verses 9 to 12. From the day you start harvesting corn, count 7 weeks. You will then have come to the time for harvest festival. At that time you will honor Yahweh your God by bringing him a voluntary offering appropriate for the amount with which he has blessed you. Show how happy you are when you enter the presence of Yahweh with your children, your employees, and the priests, the foreigners, the orphans and widows who live in your community. You should do this at God's unique place of worship, and make sure you do what these commands say. Never forget that you used to be slaves in Egypt. In the old church calendars in England, August the 1st was called Lammas Day, the day when the loaf mass was to be celebrated. The title of the day survived into the early Reformation prayer books of the 16th and 17th centuries, but nothing survived of any special service for that day. The loaf mass was a celebration in the early English church to bless the first fruits of the harvest, and it was customary to bring a loaf made from the new wheat to the mass of the day to be blessed and shared. At that time, before the agricultural revolution, however, out in the countryside, August wasn't quite the appropriate time for a celebration. It was a time of hard work, getting the harvest stored safely away and making preserves and drinks for the winter. The time for a celebration was when the gaffer was happy that everything possible had been gathered in. Then people could relax and celebrate what was known as Harvest Home, and that happened in September or early October. This was a celebration in each farming community, shared by everyone, with singing and dancing and a good meal for all, usually organised by the major landowner. It was only when mechanized farming started to make a serious difference that Harvest Festival began to be celebrated in church, and not until the 1920s that any liturgical provision was made for it in England. Nowadays, if there is a harvest celebration and a festive lunch or supper with homemade entertainment, it is more likely to be organised by the village church than by anyone else. In our Bible passage, we are reading about a similar festival called the Feast of Weeks. For more details about this, see days 33 and 80. The Feast of Weeks falls about Whitsuntide, and as you can see, it started as just this kind of harvest festival until the clergy got hold of it and they turned it into a commemoration of the giving of the 10 Commandments at Horeb. Then later, because of the events in AD 30, the Christians finally attached to the same day the memorial of the gift of the Holy Spirit, which kicked off the first missionary expansion of the church, which was recorded by St. Luke in the early chapters of the Acts of the Apostles. Harvest Festival remains a precious celebration. It is a reminder to us to be grateful for the fruits of the earth, a timely reminder to be good stewards of the planet we live on, and a prompt to us to share the blessings we have with those who have needs. Well, tomorrow we have a reading about another Jewish festival, sometimes called the Feast of Tabernacles, and that comes, as our harvest does, at the end of the harvest season, and I'll see you then.